has become bigger. Right now, joining us is Anthony Ndirango from TIFA Trends and Insights for Africa. Thank you for your time. Well, he's going to just be telling us about this election, really what Kenyans feel about different issues that we'll be seeing on our Super Bowl just in a matter of minutes. But just your assessment, Daniel and Joy, really, of this, of what Thabo Mbeki has had to say. It really goes, so well with and consistently with what you had said earlier about the election day being peaceful. Now we just wait to see what's going to happen in the next coming days. Daniel.
Yeah, I think it's consistent with what happened, with what went on, and just like I said earlier on, the observers will just observe, what went on, and I think they're here to help us, mature our democratic process.
Okay.
And they will also give important recommendations that can help us to be able to improve our systems. So I think that is really very critical.
All right. Yeah. Joy, very briefly about how they were able to visit 464 polling stations. That's a considerable number.
Yes, I think those are polling centers, not the stations.
Polling centers,
and one of the things that I like about what he said is he lauded the fact that there seemed to be enough staff on the ground. He noted that enough women had been given opportunities to also be in charge of some of those stations. Also noted the fact that the prisoners and the people in diaspora were allowed to vote this time around.
Yes.
And also like the restraint with which he's approaching the tallying and saying, we are cognizant of the fact that the election process is still ongoing. Yeah. Because, Kenyans are thinking the elections are over. But no, until the elections are declared, the process is still ongoing. So we've just done one of the bits. And that recognition is what I hope we Kenyans will also accept, that, it's not yet a done deal. Let us wait until the final declaration has been made. And one thing he also points out is the fact that so far with what they have seen, they're satisfied that we were given an opportunity to have our voice heard. Okay. So we need to wait for the end. So I really like the measured response, and I'm looking forward to read the full preliminary report so that we can also understand how our African brothers, even the East African observer groups, how our brothers are seeing, because in Africa we are a leader in electoral matters. So we need to occupy that space and also be available to help them when it is their turn.
All right, and to be a good example.
Yes.
All right, coming to you, Anthony Ndirango, let's talk about TIFA did some surveys and some polls about really different things that were happening in the country. And I just want us to start by looking at the first set of graphics, and then we can discuss that further. All right, if we can also just feed that in our Super Bowl. Yes, so that really is something that we were looking at. And all right, so the question that we had asked there, if we could just go back to the graphics. Right, let's just have that. All right, okay, so this was an exit poll in Nairobi County that was done. All right, and this is very important to the conversation we've been having here, the likelihood of peace. And, we ask Kenyans, how likely do you think there's going to be peace in Kenya during and after the elections? And just taking a look at the numbers there, 87% saying likely. Daniel, isn't that commendable?
Yeah, that's commendable.
Yeah, we also have 10% saying it's going to be unlikely that we'll have peace, and then we have 4% who refused to answer. So, Anthony, what kind of answers were you getting, apart from the yes, no, likely, unlikely? What were Kenyans saying about this particular issue, peace?
I think generally from the survey, what we observed was an air of optimism that they expect these elections to be generally peaceful.
All right.
If they see, generally looking at what the expectations they had with IEBC and the process, having experienced the process, because this was an exit poll. It was done after the respondent had gone in and voted and come out.
Okay.
So looking at the process, they looked at the process and they thought it was free and fair, and they did not expect that anything would be contrary to what they had voted. Therefore, they were very optimistic that the outcome would be what they expect and there will be peace in the country.
And that's where my question comes in. Was there feeling that, I'm very confident that my candidate is going to win, and therefore we are likely to have peace in the country?
Yes. I think more towards that the confidence was drawn back to the IEBC. They thought that even if my candidate does not win, the process is going to be fair and whoever will win fair and square. Therefore, they don't expect the IEBC will be involved in anything that will be contrary to what they expect. Therefore, they were confident that whoever will win, whether it's my candidate or not, it will be the candidate that has been chosen by the majority. Therefore, the peace will prevail.
All right, Daniel, and just going back to what Anthony is saying, how Kenyans really had confidence that IEBC would deliver a great election. Do you think, up until where we are right now, they've risen to that occasion for Kenyans?
I think up to now, if you looked at the process, guys woke up as early as even 4 a.m.
Yes, actually, other people slept at the
polling
station. Yes.
So I think the process went well, and I think logistically, in terms of carrying those ballot boxes and a little bit hitches of some ballot boxes being in the wrong place, but I think they did a good job in enabling Kenyans to vote on time. There were some places where the stations were opened late, and I think they were enabled to vote later on. So that is the credibility of the system is what Kenyans hinge their possibility for peace. And looking at this just tells you that Kenyans are peaceful people. Kenyans are not interested in war. The election period is not a period of war. This is what we need. We need to mature as Kenyans, and I'm glad we are doing that. I don't expect us to go back to 2007. We went there. We saw what happened. No one wants to go back there.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So whatever this polling is true, whatever you're seeing here is what is true. Nobody wants. Look at Syria. If you see what's going on in Syria, you would not want a situation like 2007, 2008. Look at Somalia.
Again. Right.
You don't want that. So Kenyans know what they want. We have invested money in our systems. We have invested money in our political parties. We actually fund the political parties. So, for example, I expected in these elections that every political party should have their agents in all the polling stations, so that everything is transparent. Right. You're seeing the voting done, the counting done, so that it doesn't come back to us again. Not that, we didn't have agents in some stations. No.
All right. Ndirango, just coming to before I get Joy's view of that. So let's talk about the 10% who feel that, the time after the elections or during the elections will not be peaceful. What were they alluding that feeling to?
I think these were, from a research perspective, this is a very small portion of the population. I would say probably almost insignificant, because if you look at 87% saying that I expect this process to be peaceful, and 10% saying that this process may not be peaceful, I would say that is the majority. I would probably focus more on the majority who say, I am expecting this process according to what they had experienced up to that time. They see that there are no irregularities, and they expect the process will continue that way. Therefore, they expect that there would be peace. Right. But only a small portion of the proportion thought maybe not, depending on how it goes. But those are maybe the skeptical people. Right. But generally, I would agree with what has been said, is that majority Kenyans are generally peaceful people. They are maturing up, and they're saying that there is no need for war. Today, even as I was coming to studio today, I saw matatus operating. People have gone back to work. People are trying
to come back.
People are going back. So I think the general expectation is that there will be peace.
All right. Final thoughts, Joy. I did not get your final thoughts. We have run out of time, unfortunately. Your final thoughts about really this poll, what it's saying, what Kenyans are saying about, them wanting peace to reign and not anything else. And also just generally speaking about where we are at.
It's actually a reflection of what we're seeing right now. Because if you remember 2007, 2008, by this time the country was up in flames. Yes. That time I was living in Mombasa, and even Mombasa was up in flames. Kisumu was up in flames. But we need to understand that there are several factors that have changed. One, the election is being held in the middle of the year. People don't have leave. They're not on a break. Yes. Guys have to go back to work because guys are going back.
School fees is
the
up.
Children are going back to school.
Yes.
There are those who are doing KCPE, KCSE. We are trying to get them ready. And also Kenyans at that time realized we shot ourselves in the foot. We burnt the country, and we are the ones who suffered. I mean, the guys in Kisumu who used to work in Ukwala, after they looted Ukwala, had no jobs post-election. So I think Kenyans have sort of matured and moved beyond that. And another thing also Kenyans have realized, like Daniel said, these guys are looking for a job, the politicians. And when you go for an interview and something doesn't work, you try and find out what other job you can do. So for the rest of us who have a job, who have a business, who have a juakali shed, let's go back to finding our living, because at the end of the day, even if my preferred governor did not go through, I still have to fend for my family. And Kenyans have had that realization. So it's a case of maturing politically and also socially, a culture of acceptance. Because I've seen even on social media, people right now are like, you know, Kayenyu Ushago, the traffic is actually very easy now.
All right.
So
thank you.
It's normalizing.
All right. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we've run out of time here on this segment of Kivumbi 2017. I've been speaking to Lady Joy Brenda Mdivo, who is a lawyer and a political analyst. I've also been speaking to Daniel Juma, who's the Executive Director of Global Peace Kenya Foundation, and Anthony Ndirango, who is a researcher at the Trends and Insights for Africa. Thank you very much for your time.